Boom. What is up, DJ Triggs?
Chilling, man. How
There you
you
go.
living?
Doing good, man. Doing good. New time, new place. But hey, the WNBA wraps up and the NBA is back. How about that, Triggs?
Yeah. Uh-oh. Did I
Uh
did I
oh.
already lose you? What is going on? I
Yeah, I know. I'm here.
bad
Um,
signals. Bad signals.
I got you. I got you. But yeah. Anyways, but yeah, the WNBA wraps up with the Liberty winning the league, and the NBA
Mhm.
is back as of yesterday. So yeah, pretty cool to see basketball is back on the front.
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff.
Wait, did you say yesterday?
Or 2 days ago. My bad. My bad.
Yeah. I
I,
was gonna
I, I got my
say.
days mixed up. I know. I know.
I don't even know
Yeah.
what day it
Hey,
is.
I'm with you on that, man. Too. Hey, plus a new schedule for us here at No Debate Sports, airing on Friday nights now instead of Monday nights. So yeah, pretty wild stuff, man.
There's way too much going on. My brain is like fried and broken. Um, I mean, yeah, like the the WNBA kind of ended the way we thought it would,
Sure,
even though there was controversy, sort of.
sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, the Liberty kind of just ran away with it. They got all the star power,
They do.
especially since Vegas was kind of hurt a lot of the time this year. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, Inescu and Brianna Stewart definitely deserved the dub.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it was. I mean, not exactly the teams I thought. I think I kind of came close with the teams that didn't make the championship. I was kind of more of a Connecticut Sun and Vegas Aces kind of a pick. But hey, good stuff there. But yeah, pretty good league. And a little bit of news I heard. I heard our city, Milwaukee, is putting in a bid for a WNBA team. Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Um, yeah, I
Yeah, no, I
think
did not hear that.
yeah, the team that they're trying to bid for, I believe, would start in the 2026 season, I've heard. Something like that. But
Huh.
basically, yeah, the WNBA is about to expand to 15 teams and then add a 16th team after that. So, from what I've heard, Milwaukee is one of those teams that is absolutely in the mix. I mean, we know Golden State is going to have a team. We know Toronto is going to have a team. I would think Milwaukee is following in line, uh, probably a little bit after that.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's Milwaukee, Kansas City, Cleveland, and Nashville.
Yes. Yeah. So those are some pretty interesting cities, I think. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Nashville is definitely a good city. I think for pro sports just in general. But I think Milwaukee definitely stands a pretty fighting chance, considering we already have a high end arena in the Pfizer Forum. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. The other thing too is like accommodations, locker rooms, stuff like that. That would definitely be a thing too. Like how would they add that onto the Pfizer form? How would they do it? All that logistical stuff that matters too.
No,
Especially too. I think it was what was it? Brittany Mahomes, Patrick's wife, basically built the first ever 100% fully female accommodated stadium for the Kansas City women's soccer team.
wow.
So yeah, it is 100% for them, made by that kind of style, and I think it's brilliant. It's pretty smart, And I would expect that you're going to see WNBA teams that are going to follow that model. So a city like a Nashville, which doesn't even have it, that might actually stand a really, really good chance. And considering how much money we know is going to be pumping through the WNBA, it's a really, really smart play, really smart investment. And we even saw it in Vegas with Tom Brady, buying ownership in the Las Vegas Aces as well as the Raiders.
Yeah.
So anyone that can pump money into the WNBA and build something fresh and new, that's going to be a big driving point for sure.
So, I mean, Milwaukee, this is going to sound really random, and I don't know why I know this, but believe it or not, there's some tradition there too with Milwaukee and women's basketball. So
Okay.
now I might get the years wrong, but it was either the 70s or the 80s. We actually had a Milwaukee Does, female deer
Right.
team.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that is definitely interesting to have that happen. That was a name I was kind of kicking around in my mind. That could be that kind of team for us. But yeah, I mean, I think if they definitely added on like women's locker rooms, something like that into the form, that could make a big difference. I think, but I think that
Or,
might have to happen in order for them to land that team.
I mean, they could play at the Panther Arena too.
But is it
I
going to
know
be
it's a
as
little
good of a?
small, but
It's not going to be a good draw though.
yeah.
That's my concern. I mean, yeah, in order to me to land a WNBA team, it has to be the Pfizer Forum.
Hey,
It is just gorgeous.
I went to that. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a like Mecca throwback game, and the
Oh
Bucks
yeah, that's
played at the.
cool.
Yeah,
At the
the Bucks
Panther Arena.
played. Oh man, who was it? I think it might have been Brooklyn because all I remember was Kyrie Irving was on the court, and I can't remember if it was when he was with Boston or Brooklyn. But
Interesting.
I went to that game and it was fire. Like
Wow.
the way that arena is seated,
Okay.
there wasn't a bad I was floor level
Sure.
for right behind one of the baskets, but the seats anywhere in that building were good. Like it was so cool to just look and
Yeah.
see how the throwback games were of Sidney Moncrief and those fellas, Junior Bridgman,
Absolutely.
Marcus
Ooh,
Johnson, uh,
there you go.
and yeah, we don't talk about the 90s, but we talk about the 80s.
Nice. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it was definitely a really cool venue, and I love the color scheme. I do hope the Bucks do something with those uniforms going forward. I just thought the Bucks were always invincible with those awesome Mecca jerseys. To be honest, I don't ever remember seeing them losing a game while wearing the Mecca jerseys. I just think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I just remember that game. I don't even know what the Mecca jerseys are, but I remember that game was they played in the Mecca and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, really, really cool stuff there. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I do think in order to land a team, it's definitely going to take. I mean, at this point now, I think the WNBA has the leverage to say we want the best of the best of the best, and it's not something about like, hey, we want to add on a city to just kind of scrape by and kind of keep moving. They want to add cities that are like owning cities. I think they want to be the top of the top, and nothing is better now than striking while the iron is hot, especially with that rookie class we saw last season. I think
So
they just want to build on that momentum and keep adding fresh new cities and just keep building on that talent and getting cities like Nashville, Kansas City, and Milwaukee. I think could really help.
no, the rookie class coming in with Paige Beckers and those young
Oh,
ladies,
yep,
that what is it, Juju? Why am I blanking on her name?
Watkins.
Watkins. There we go. These young ladies coming in, these guards, whoo, Nelly. Uh,
Yes.
And like it finally started to, dawn on Indiana that like, yeah, Caitlin Clark's a really good player and she's gonna get all the publicity. But they started playing her next to Kelsey Mitchell, and they started going on a run. Like some of these other teams, one or two pieces. I mean, Chicago started to get busy by the end of the season, with
Totally.
Kennedy and Angel Reese out there. Like,
Yep.
some of these teams that quote unquote aren't very good, like they started to put some ideas together where you could tell, like, oh, okay, they might be a contender, they might be a battler for a playoff spot next year.
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
we noticed that the Fever, and I mean, we knew this right away. The Fever, they were hot to get into the playoffs, but they weren't a playoff team. Like,
No, they had no size.
they
None.
got ran through.
Yeah. At some point, that size catches up to them, and they're just not going to have that ability to play tough playoff basketball, which is 3 out of 5 against one single team, and they're just not built for that. Just not now.
First round is only 3 games.
True, but
Yeah.
still, even with 3 games, and then to get to 5, you're just you have to keep winning those series to move on. And they're not equipped to win multiple games against the same team if they're such a undersized team.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely going to be more movement next season, especially adding those awesome rookies. I'm excited. I'm excited for March Madness coming up, especially on the women's side. And seeing what that looks like, seeing what other like size comes into the league as well, because you have teams that need that, like Indiana and maybe even too, like honestly, I feel like if Chicago had even more size, they would even be kind of like that Las Vegas Aces, kind of New York Liberty kind of style of a team. I don't think that hurts, man. I definitely think that can pay dividends in a way. So. Yeah, I'm excited to see even the other players that we don't even know about yet, and see how that transpires moving into this draft.
True story.
Cool.
Story.
So speaking of a true story, and I was hearing some rumblings about this coming into yesterday. How about the Rams pulling that upset against Minnesota?
Oh, no.
Yeah. There was definitely some chatter about that. And I was hearing some things that the Rams could definitely pull that off, because mainly for the most part, the travel schedule for Minnesota at that point is incredibly rough. It is incredibly rough to play on Sunday and then be in a city that is 1,000 miles from where you played in 2 time zones, essentially 2 to 3 days later.
Yeah.
And basically, those teams are almost winless in every single game since like 2000.
Yeah, and I don't know where Matthew Stafford came from, but like, we're just gonna throw 4 touchdowns. Okay.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, I have heard too. Minnesota's secondary is not the greatest, and even going back to that Packer game a few weeks ago, like you could see it. Green Bay could absolutely throw however they wanted to against Minnesota for the most part. And honestly, that's kind of the strength of the Rams, is throwing the football. They can run here and there. It's okay. But honestly, it kind of gets one-dimensional without having the weapons outside that they're used to having. So it just showed like that is that team's MO. They love to throw the football. And against a defense that allows them to throw and probably doesn't have that great of a pass rush, it shows.
Yeah. Demarcus Robinson went completely, hey, I get 2 catches and I get 2 touchdowns. And it's like, man, I don't know. Wait, may I get permission to go on a fantasy rant for a second?
Oh, here? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know you've hold up. I know you've been the one to pull the trigger on this, but I think this is you running it. So I'll be the one to pull the trigger on this one. And here it goes.
Let him cook. Let him cook. I said, let him cook.
Here we go.
What we got?
I am getting tired of fantasy football players who are just okay actual players blowing up fantasy games. It
Okay.
is just driving me insane. So like in our league, whoever's
Yes.
playing I won't say the gentleman's name, but like who would have started Demarcus Robinson? Like I know we
Oh,
have a
that happened?
yeah, Demarcus
Oh,
Robinson put up 19.6 points in our league. And
oh
like
my.
if you're playing against him, you don't have a shot. You literally don't have a shot at beating that guy
Man,
because
that is wild.
there is no reason why anyone in their right mind would have started him. But someone did. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
I know our teams and our league is like super deep and
Yes.
XYZ, but
Yes.
it's like that type of nonsense is literally killing fantasy football for me. And I know we're 7 weeks in,
We are.
but like I was going through with a gentleman, a friend of mine,
Sure.
named he's my manager, my social media
Sure.
manager in wrestling, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
he goes by Logan/Brett,
Nice.
and
Nice.
we were talking about trash players, and this is a perfect example of it. This in our league, yeah, Demarcus Robinson is in their flex, and he put up 19 and a half points. Like, what can you do now? He was
Um,
projected for 4.
True. I get that. Just running this past you, is Demarcus Robinson a slot wide receiver? I'm pretty sure he is, right?
I don't know because they had Cooper Cup and Puka
Cup
Nakua
can run
out
the
there,
slot.
so
Puka is
I
outside.
yeah, but Cup I
Puka's
think
definitely.
runs the slot a lot.
Yeah, Cup runs the slot. I know Demarcus Robinson runs the slot. I want to
Mhm.
know back when he was in Pittsburgh. Granted, he did jack squat, but I know out there, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens worked outside, and Demarcus did run the slot. So I wonder if that kind of style works its way back out west with the Rams. I want to say when Robinson was a Jaguar, I don't remember him playing the slot. I swear he was playing outside, especially like the left side of the hash almost every time I saw him make a catch back in the day. So I don't know. I think I'll watch this game at some point to see what the heck is going on. I mean, we played the Rams last week, but just like every other game, I saw the Rams score points because Gardner Minshew just vomits the football every game to the other. So I didn't
Yeah,
really take too much away from it. But yeah, that's pretty much pretty interesting to see
but
something like that.
wait,
But
wait,
yeah,
but this is why I'm on this rant though, because
yes,
this is not the first time. This is literally happening every week. So
okay,
last week, let's just go with Rashad White, running back out of Tampa, right? Dude has
yes,
basically been like 10 carries a game. 10 carries.
right,
He had 10 carries for 40 yards. And you would go, well, why are we talking about Rashad White? The dude caught 2 touchdowns, put up 29 points. Who in their right
dang,
mind? And he's the 27th ranked running back now because he put up 29. He was the second highest score of all running backs behind Jahmyr Gibbs.
yes,
Let, let me
yeah,
list let me list the guys in the top 5. Jahmyr
okay,
Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, Brees Hall. Oh yeah, those are all really good, and Rashad White. Like
right.
what? There's no oh
But the thing too with Rashad White that you always got to remember is he is a straight up pure tailback. That guy is not a hardcore pound him out, grind it running back. Bucky
yeah,
Irving is that kind of guy. That is
yeah.
what Bucky Irving is. But Rashad White, he's going to do that. He's going to dink and doink. He might have a few carries here and there, but he will definitely be one of those guys to run some J Mac kind of plays, especially when they get to the end zone.
but my issue with this guy is he's been single digits basically every year or every week, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm gonna catch 6 passes, 2 touchdowns. Like, okay, see where I'm going here? Check
But
this out.
he was projected to be probably a top 20 running back, and at some
So
point that does show.
so hear this one out. We go to Jacksonville, right? We go
Yes,
to Jacksonville. And I know you love this guy, but
I
man,
do.
Tank Bigsby has been a single digit like carries and points all year. All of a sudden he drops 24 last week.
Well,
24.
the thing is, I went back, I watched the games, and I saw that going into the week, maybe not the 2 touchdown week that he just had, but especially the week before when he scored a touchdown. The week before that, you could see, I want to say this was a game against the Patriots, maybe, or was it the Colts? It was either the Patriots or Colts, but there was clearly a moment in that game where he was just a better runner than Travis Etienne. He has much more pop. He is more physical, and he can catch passes just as well as Travis Etienne.
Hey,
And it was showing that at that point, literally 2 weeks ago, that he was going to take the job
and
from Travis Etienne, and that's
and that's
that's
fine.
why I had to make that move
That's
because
fine.
he is better than that.
That's fine. You watched that game and you had all the know-how to go, hey, I can tell. But the guy hasn't had more than like 5 carries in any game whatsoever. Now week 7 he goes for like 24, 25 points. Like, this is insane. Okay,
It is.
now check this out. Let's move to wide receivers. Wide receivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rashad Bateman. Like, no one would. This dude he has had barely 50 yards all year. There's been games where he only caught one pass. All of a sudden,
Absolutely.
oh, I'm gonna go for a buck 21 and a touchdown and put up 22 fantasy points. And some random person probably has him on their team and played him in the flex, and they're like, oh yeah, of course he's gonna go off. I know what I'm talking about. No, they didn't. That guy is. There's no reason why anybody would play Rashad Bateman unless you were out of your mind and just going, yeah, this is probably a good idea. But
I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this kind of away, and this kind of goes back to you though, and you being a strong believer in Lamar Jackson,
I
and
am.
I am definitely on board with that now because I can tell you that clearly over the last few weeks, especially from that Bengals game to where we are now, Lamar Jackson now can make really good throws outside the pocket, and when that happens, boom, now everyone outside the pocket can actually make plays. Like I kind of see that and like I said, I see fantasy football a lot like the stock market and a lot like investing, where all of a sudden one thing takes off on an offense and now everything benefits on an offense because of that one stock that is in a sector that a lot of other bigger companies thrive off of. So if one of them takes off, they almost all take off. And with Lamar Jackson now expanding his game outside the pocket, now that happens with guys like Rashad Bateman, more Isaiah Likely, more Mark Andrews. Even Mark Andrews is coming back to the fold. You have that tailback that I know is really, really choppy on the Ravens. But honestly, if after that first game that he blew up and you really didn't think, well, if you thought you were going to just get consistent crazy game after crazy game after crazy game, that's not going to happen. That's not the stock market. That's not real life. That's not how it works. Derrick Henry is a monster. But there are going to be those matchups where the tailback flourishes. So now everything, because of Lamar Jackson expanding his game, now the whole Ravens offense is exploding because of that. So now guys like Rashad Bateman come back into the fold. And Bateman showed this last year as well. Like, he's a good wide receiver, but he just wasn't getting those kind of clutch plays that Lamar Jackson wasn't comfortable making outside the pocket. When he gets outside, he can really sling it, and he can sling it comfortably. But he would always kind of panic, and it wouldn't really be on target. Now, if he's getting outside the pocket, he's figuring it out in his mind, and he knows how to really dial it up, put it in there perfectly with a good amount of power. And that's how you get those massive points from Rashad Bateman.
You know,
That's
I
no
like
debate.
Rashad Bateman. I like Rashad Bateman, but there's no way he should have got that many.
But at some
you
point,
think,
it happens. It
now,
has to hit. It has to hit.
okay, but now you would think, oh, okay, he's only telling us about running backs and wide receivers. Well, guess what? Tight end is not off the limit either. There is no person on this planet who thought David Njoku was going to catch 10 balls and a touchdown and put up 24 points. The guy had 5 receptions the week before for 31 yards. He is buns. And all of a sudden, hey, Deshaun Watson, get better soon, get well soon. Cleveland fans are horrible people, but all of a sudden they put in.
I love them. Dude, those are the guys that bang like trash can lids on the side of a stadium. I love that.
That's fine, but you can't cheer for a guy to get injured. Like,
no,
I didn't like that. But Mason Rudolph, it was Mason Rudolph, right? He comes in the game and he only throws it to David Njoku. Like, who in their right mind would have guessed that? But you know who it is? These random nonsense people that'll be like, oh man, I knew that was coming, and I played these 4 or 5 dudes and then you lose by 20 and you go, I just lost to David Njoku.
However, I will put this out there. Tight ends, for the most part, have been pretty rough almost across the board all season. A guy like Njoku is a guy we know that is good. And
he's
to be
been
honest,
garbage all season.
He has been garbage all season. But he is one of those better kind of well-known tight ends. We know that, yeah, he is a good player. But I think this is more of a reflection of Deshaun Watson than it is of David Njoku. This team runs 12 personnel. We know Stefanski loves that kind of packages. So if you're stuck with a tight end and you're looking at guys and you're like, I don't know who else is out there, you might just stand put with David Njoku and just say, let's ride it. Now, if he explodes like that, you don't see it coming. But if you got him, I don't think it's the right call to necessarily drop him if there's not much else.
Transition, because and I'm sorry to jump in there, but transition because you said it. Oh yeah, guess where we're going next? We're going to quarterback, and let's ride is what you said. Who in their right mind would have thought against the Jets' stout defense that Russell Wilson would be the number 3 quarterback in fantasy last week, throwing 264 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And some weirdo probably out there was like, I'm going to play Russell Wilson because he's amazing. No, he's not. You know he's trash. We know he's trash. Denver knew he was trash. This is
Bo Nix is better than him. Straight up. I'll tell you right now, I care 2 squats of what the numbers truly reflect to this date. But man, like Denver doesn't have control that their schedule is just like murderer's row and is probably like the second toughest schedule after the San Francisco 49ers, to be honest. So like Bo Nix is like grinding it out against tough defense after tough defense. And you're right, like he is better than Russell Wilson, to be honest. So we know Wilson just doesn't have that pop. He has no naked bootleg anymore. And he's just kind of moving with the flow. I think it's more of a reflection of Arthur Smith calling that offense than it really is Russell Wilson just making play after play after play. And 264 and 2 TDs isn't the greatest, just saying.
He also ran a touchdown in. That's why.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah. Now, this will be my last one because who knows why, who, what, where, when. I'm going to tell you 3 quarterbacks in the top 10 that you were probably like, wait, those guys play football? First off, I like Drake May. He's solid, okay?
Yeah, I think he's an interesting pickup if you had to go to him last week.
I did. I've gone to him for 2 weeks in a row.
Nice.
And so Russell Wilson being number 3, Drake May was number 6. Well, guess who was number 8? Do you have any idea who is number 8 in all of fantasy for quarterbacks?
Can I get a hint on conference?
I almost said Eastern. The NFC.
All right, NFC. Let's go out east. You know what? Let's go Daniel Jones.
I'm so glad you didn't guess this, but you were real close because it's the same division. Marcus Mariota. Of course it is. Marcus Mariota puts up 205, two
Oh, that's
touchdowns,
right.
runs 11 times. 11 times. And the guy, like, what? Who in their right mind goes and gets Marcus Mariota? Well, guess what?
Hold up. Didn't that happen in game though? Because didn't Daniels start, bust a rib, and then Mariota showed up?
Possibly. I don't know. But
Yeah.
people are starting Marcus Mariota last week, and I don't even know why.
That would probably be a blowout, is my guess. I think that game was kind of a blowout. I know there was the busted rib on
Bunch of people
Daniels, and then Mariota came in and just kept running that offense. Like Cliff Kingsbury, man, like that guy can call an offense. That's for sure. If Mariota is killing it when Philadelphia wanted to run him out of town as a backup, they're doing things right over there, man. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, I'm done with my rant. If you wanna hit us with some waivers, because I'll just keep going. There are way too many horrible players destroying fantasy football.
And I'll give you another one which I made in our league, one which you have definitely seen, and one that I think all the planets are aligning. This is definitely like a buy a stock low. This is like Ion Q in the stock market if you want to go for that route. But Kyle Juszczyk in San Francisco, he will explode this week. I'm watching that game against the Chiefs. And that entire game, you're like, man, things are so like grindy and gritty, and they're not really throwing the ball quite right. Well, they run the ball well, and if they want to shake it up and do stuff out of the backfield and get a guy who's just kind of a tweener, kind of gets open, kind of Travis Kelce, Brock Bowers kind of style, I think a fullback like Kyle Juszczyk is that kind of guy. Especially, too, that we know going into this game, Jordan Mason's a little bit banged up. So this might be one of those games, and this is a get-right game. This is Dallas. Dallas, like, I don't know about you, Triggs, but I think we're already printing the toe tags that they're going to get annihilated. Just absolutely annihilated this game. And they're going to do it on the ground.
I'll give you more reason to follow Kyle. In 4 of the what are they at? 4 of the 6 games he's played, he's had 3 or more targets out of the backfield. He had a touchdown 2 weeks ago. This is ridiculous. Wait, I do have one more because I told you I was going back and forth with a buddy of mine. I think he was just trolling me, to be honest, just to see how annoyed I was going to get with Detroit. But David Montgomery has completely broken fantasy football, and I can't stand it. This guy has had 15 or more points in every game except last week against Minnesota. And then you're going to go, well, he's having a great season. No, he's not. He is barely at I can't even remember if he was at 4 yards a carry or not. I'm going to break it down to you. He had a game of 35, a game of 40 yards, a game of 31 yards. But he's averaging a touchdown a game.
Dang.
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous?
Baller, man.
He's had 1 game of over 100 yards, but he's had 3 of under 40.
I think that's kind of along that lines of style and I think it probably would have, I don't know if it would have been feasible, but to me, it falls into that family of like, hey, some of these teams, like you kind of might want both backs in a way, like the Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard season, the Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram season. I swear there's another one I'm blanking on. All of the Dolphins running backs. If you can land all of them, just land every Dolphins running back if you can.
Yeah.
And now what we're seeing is Detroit. Detroit has an excellent offensive line. I don't know how feasible it is to draft both of them. They're both kind of highly valued in a way, like almost round 2, round 3 for both of them.
But why? Why?
Yeah.
David Montgomery is absolute trash. There's no way anyone can convince me that David Montgomery is having a good season, except he is he is somehow averaging a touchdown a game. There's been
Man.
games where he's literally had one catch.
Right, right. And he's the kind of guy that I see can do it basically in a few plays. He can get you that touchdown in just maybe 3 or less plays because of how stout that offensive line is. But I'll tell you this, man. Like, I watched that Vikings Lions game. Now, if I had to ask, like, outside of Derrick Henry, who is like his own different animal of a running back, I'll be honest. I think the best running back in football after Derrick Henry is straight up Jahmyr Gibbs, man.
I'm
Like,
okay with that.
like holy smokes, man. If you watch Jahmyr Gibbs play, think of like DeAndre Swift kind of style times 2. It's just different. It's kind of like I don't know, man. I can't even like fully compare it to anything that I've seen before because this guy can like cut, but cut with like acceleration, and it's like 2 cuts and he is just gone. Like he's just like there's that gone ability that we've seen from like Aaron Jones and we've seen it from the Cook brothers, but seeing like this with Jahmyr Gibbs is just different. And I think that was Detroit's plan all along, was like ease this guy into the league. Like so many running backs, and we're seeing it even now to a degree with like both Brees Hall and Bijan Robinson. Like they've basically been put like pedal to the floor, all gas, no brakes since they've been incepted into the NFL. And it kind of burns them out to a degree. It definitely hurt Brees Hall. And to me, I really don't think Bijan Robinson's doing all that great, to be honest. I think if you kind of ease up and ease a guy into the league, almost Josh Jacobs kind of style, it really pays dividends late and it really makes life easier on these guys. And now we're seeing Jahmyr Gibbs, to me, is really going to start taking into David Montgomery. And this, what you just pointed out, that's definitely a sell high on a stock kind of a guy like Montgomery, where you might need a matchup where you have a good week of a favorable defense against the run, and you place both those guys out there. That's kind of how you're going to have to look at David Montgomery, but he is not going to be a bell cow that can continuously give you basically 12-ish points a week. That may have happened in the past, but I promise you that's not going to be the norm moving forward.
I feel you. Hit us with some waivers, Mr. Metrics. What you got this week?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing to look at this week, to me, there are 3 teams, especially wideout wise, that you want to look at. One of which I actually dropped this player, but I'm doing it for kind of a different reason, like I pointed out with Kyle Juszczyk. But I still stick with this guy because I still think this team has some good things. They run 12 personnel quite a bit. So there aren't too many wideout targets, but they still go to them when they need to. I still look at the Saints. Look, like Chris Olave is coming back. He's doing his thing. We know Rashee Rice is pretty much done. But still having Bub Means, I think, is a solid guy to work with. He's not killing it fantasy wise, but like he's still getting you like 3 to 5 fantasy points on just straight yardage. To me, that tells me that he's a implement part of this offense that you have to go after. So I think he's a pretty good guy to look at, and he's one of those 3 teams that, in my eyes, just absolutely got devastated. That you need to look at for a team. The other 2 teams that just got train wrecked on wideouts are the San Francisco 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I know everyone with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wants to say, oh, Sterling Shepard, like this, and that. And I'm shocked he wasn't a guy that you pointed out, Triggs, where like he exploded for a pretty big fantasy game last week and no one really saw that coming. But I think there's some interesting stuff going on here. Wait, hold up. Let me run some stats here and see what's going on. But I really think on the okay, here we go. Yeah, there's 2 of these guys. I know everyone wants to go after Sterling Shepard, but if I had to really call my shot on the Tampa Bay wideouts, and I can see in our league they've already been claimed, and you claimed one of them, which is shout out to you, DJ Triggs. Trey Palmer, absolutely go for this guy. This guy was on the field for about 70% of all snaps. He was targeted 3 times, and for each of his receptions is averaging, he only caught one for 16 yards, but that's pretty solid volume there that you can ask for. And the other one that I really like is Jalen McMillan. Just watching that Buccaneers game that they played against Baltimore, you could kind of see McMillan was kind of finding his way on this offense as well. Big thing I like here, this guy was targeted 8 times and had 3 receptions. Sterling Shepard just isn't getting that volume. And yes, people know of Shepard from his time with the Giants, but he's honestly probably the 3rd look. And you got to remember too, there's guys like Rachaad White, and I think you and I both put in claims for this guy. We didn't get him, but Cade Otton as a tight end. Look out, man.
You take that back. I have had Cade Otton for multiple weeks, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I tried to get Cade Otton. I didn't, but I give you all the credit. So, I mean, you are basically buying low on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and
I've had
now's the time, man. I like it.
I've had Cade Otton since October 3rd.
Hot dog, man. Dude, Cade Otton, moving forward, his schedule is nothing but green grass and high tides the rest of the way out, man. Seeing that much green on your matchups against tight ends is awesome. So yeah. I really like that. And I mean, even looking at these wideouts for Tampa Bay, they pretty much are kind of finishing up a tough stretch, an easy stretch. They're about to go into a semi-tough stretch. This might almost be a better, and this is why I think looking the rest of the way out, a guy like Cade Otton, I think, is even better than all of those wideouts, because after they play Atlanta, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers, a bye week, and it looks like the Giants are sneaky good against wideouts. So those are 4 tough games, and then your final 3 defenses, kind of wrapping up your fantasy playoffs, are kind of tough in Vegas, the Chargers, and the Cowboys. So I think Cade Otton is the killer pickup that you made. That's really gonna hit pay dirt, I think.
Can I brag about Cade Otton for a sec?
Do it, man. I want to hear it, dude.
So in the last 4 of the last 5 weeks, he's had at least 6 targets. He's had games with 6, 8, 9, and 10.
Wow, man, you can live regardless of what the fantasy result is, you can totally live with that. And all you ask for a tight end is get 1 touchdown. If they can get anything that equals 1 touchdown, everything after that is gravy. That's the cool part that you get there with Cade Otton. So I like him, man. I like the volume there. I love that offense, to be honest. I mean, I know losing Godwin and losing Mike Evans is a big blow, and it was the story of the game against the Ravens. But watching this offense is really, really enjoyable. I still think as they make the postseason, I still think Tampa Bay could be a really interesting team. But their secondary, to me, just like Baltimore, is kind of trash. So that's where I kind of get concerned about a team that tries to go blow for blow for blow, but can't stop an opposing team's passing game. So that's where I'm a little concerned about it. But good thing is if they can't really stop an opposing team from scoring points, they also have to score points, and Tampa Bay can clearly do that. So right now, Trey Palmer, Jalen McMillan, definitely ride those guys out for at least a week or 2 before you send them off and try to make another move.
Heck yeah. I'm with you.
So we got, the other team that you want to look at. So again, there were 3 teams that just got devastated basically across their top 2 targets. At least we're talking 5 out of 6 players on these 3 teams. The Saints, the Buccaneers, and now the 49ers. The 49ers, they lost both Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel got really banged up last week. So now you got to look at, okay, who else is out there that you can play with? And I think, and to me, this is why Kyle Juszczyk to me is just a monster of a pick, I think, for this week. But definitely moving forward, he was listed as the starter at the beginning of the season until he had a really scary incident outside of football. But Ricky Pearsall, he is that dedicated slot receiver on this team. He can run a lot of good routes, and he was on the field last week for about 75% of all 49er plays. He had 3 receptions, not too much. But again, the Chiefs defense is fantastic. That secondary, for even losing Ladarius Sneed, is better in my eyes than what it was last season. So it just speaks to how hard and how difficult it is to play against that Chiefs secondary. But with that being the case and losing the guys they lost, it tells us that Ricky Pearsall is one of those guys going forward. So he's probably one of those few guys that you can make a play for. You might want to go for a Jacob Counting, but I'm not too big on that. I think if I had to go anyone after Pearsall, it might be Ronnie Bell. He was on the field for a little bit longer than Jacob Counting, but that might be one of those two where you may want to see how this plays out and how this shakes down for the 49ers before you go for one of those two guys. Again, Pearsall definitely plays the slot, but if we look outside with Counting and the other one too, they're finishing up against Dallas. They're going to hit a bye week. I think playing the waiting game on that is probably the way to go. Plus, you have 2 easier matchups coming up after the bye week, and then it gets pretty tough for the remainder of the fantasy season and the fantasy playoffs the rest of the way out. So I would say if you go any bet on that 49ers receiving core, play it safe and play it with Ricky Pearsall in the slot, especially when you hit those harder defenses after the bye week. Now that slot wide receiver kind of tends to shine. And there's a lot of cool, good karma that should be following Ricky Pearsall. So that's who I got. Those are 3 teams that you really want to hit as many of those wide receivers as you can. There's a sneaky wide receiver on the Cleveland Browns that you might want to go for too. Had a ton of volume last week, and he's been a good younger player too. He hasn't been in the league that long. Let me see. Yeah, he's only been in the league 2 years, and he's kind of sneaky good. Cedric Tillman. Take a look for that. And also his schedule is kind of favorable, but again, like the 49ers, he's about to run into a bye week in a couple weeks. So you get a favorable matchup this week against Baltimore, but then you're going to hit the Chargers and the bye week, and it gets a little bit choppier after that. So that might be the few guys that if you need some wide receiver targets, you can definitely make things happen this week and maybe the week after. That's no debate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to rapid fire some picks here real quick?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
So I don't know about you, but one of us went 11-4 last week.
Oh, that I'm if I had to guess, I'm gonna say it's probably you.
So we'll start off with the Philadelphia Eagles are 2.5-point underdogs going to Cincinnati.
Yeah, going to Cincinnati, man. Oh man, just everything on the way like you think about the storylines going into this game. I'm gonna take Cincinnati, man. I think that team is so much better than the record is.
I'm gonna go with Philly just because Saquon is like a demon right now.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is. I love it.
Baltimore is favored by 10 going to Cleveland.
Oh yeah. You might want to go more than 10 on that one. Just saying.
I'm with you. Detroit is at home and they're favored by 11 playing Tennessee.
That could be a sneaky tighter game. They may not win by 11, but I can see Detroit winning that game for sure.
I'm going Detroit by 11 because I don't even know who's catching passes in Tennessee. DeAndre Hopkins got traded to Kansas City, so no idea.
He's gone. Yeah. What do you know?
Yeah. What is it? Tyler Boyd's over there, I think.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd's out there.
Um,
That might be a sneaky free agent. Actually, we'll have to look at that one day.
I may have already picked him up, but anywho,
Oh, smart.
um,
That's no bait.
so I know, right? So Indy is underdogs by 6 at Houston.
Yeah, and I mean, I would probably just bet Houston straight up. Don't even play with the points. Those divisional games do get a little weird. But honestly, like Indianapolis just is not that good. They're really not. Just watch their games, man. It's rough.
I'm gonna bet that this one gets weird, and I'm gonna have Indy. Uh,
Oh,
so Green Bay. Well, I mean, Green Bay kind of exposed Houston last week, but Green Bay is favored by 5 at Jacksonville.
favored by 5. Man,
Yeah.
that's a scary game, man. That's a weird one. But in my eyes, I still say Green Bay is honestly the best team in the NFC. Um, I think they can take care of business down there, but again, Tank Bigsby and possibly Travis Etienne. Man, I think they're going to run pretty well against you guys. So I
Oh,
could see that kind of happening, but I just think the overall makeup of the Packers to me, they're almost a complete team. The only thing that I don't like is the rush defense, but I would definitely take Green Bay.
so they have literally admitted they are okay with people running. They
Yep.
held CJ Stroud to like 90 yards last week.
Yeah, I can tell you though too that offensive line for Houston is miserable. Their
Yeah.
pass protection is just awful.
And Jacksonville's horrible. Anywho, we got Miami is favored by 4 at home against Arizona. I'm gonna say Tua comes back and gets the dub.
Yeah, I can see that too. Man, like I'll tell you this: watching the Arizona games, Kyler Murray to me tells me that he is just flat out not a professional quarterback anymore. He just isn't. He's too short. He makes all these like run around like crazy circus plays, but he doesn't like really command an offense on a week to week basis. So I'm with you on that, man. If Tua is back, that offense clicks on another level. And take the Dolphins on that.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill told us all that we should play him in fantasy this week at a press conference because
Well, everyone's been playing him, anyways.
Tua was throwing darts apparently.
Fair
Um,
enough.
so the Jets are favored by 8 against the Patriots.
Jets favored by 8 against Patriots. That's kind of weird.
I know.
Yeah, I would definitely take the Patriots to win on the money line for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a definite new look Patriot team. They may not win that game, but they'll definitely win the money or they'll win the spread.
Yep.
That's for sure.
That's what I'm going. I'm actually going to go Jets will win the game, but Drake May will keep it close.
Cool.
Tampa Bay is favored by 3 at home with Atlanta.
Ooh, that's a tough one. And now that they kind of went blow for blow, but came up short against Atlanta a few weeks ago. The fact that I think this is kind of a new look Tampa Bay team, and they have to mix things up, and they kind of know what to expect from Atlanta going into this game. I'm going to take that element of surprise and take Tampa Bay.
I'm going to say Baker shows his worth.
Cool.
Let's see. We have New Orleans at. Okay, this can't be right.
Uh-oh.
New Orleans is at the Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 8.
That is a lot of points to be favored by for a team that really doesn't score points. That's not right. That is definitely not right. That could be a game where you just actually straight up take the Saints. But the Chargers do have a good defense. I'll give them that, and I am riding that defense for sure in fantasy. But definitely the money or the spread. Take the Saints on the spread for sure. I think 8 points is wild.
Same. Buffalo is favored by 3.5 on the road going to Seattle.
cross country, and to be honest, I kind of like the way Seattle is playing these days. I like Seattle.
Same. Geno Smith is doing damage. Hopefully,
Yep.
my boss doesn't hear that because he's a big Saints fan. He's from Seattle.
Wow.
Carolina is 7.5-point dogs at Denver.
Yeah, and not only that, that's a venue you don't really go too much. There's clearly elevation up there. Denver's played some pretty gritty teams, to be honest, up until this point. I think that shows, and I think Denver takes care of business against Carolina.
Bryce Young is starting. Play Denver.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Shout out to Andy Dalton. Hopefully, he and his family are doing okay. But they got into a car accident.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Jeez, sad to hear that.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one's exciting and makes me happy on the inside.
Yeah.
Chicago are 2.5-point favorite. No way. At Washington.
So my only concern on this game is if Jaden Daniels is really 100%. A busted rib is no joke, especially only after 1 week of injuring it. So if I would have to base off of any, and not only that, Chicago's defense is pretty insane. In that division, there isn't really much defense to speak of. I think going up against a defense like Chicago could be a reality check. I'll take Chicago to win that game.
I'm going to go reality check, and Chicago's horrible. Marcus Mariota, like I told you, you can lock it in. That guy is he is a fantasy stud.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that was a runaway game, so I'm not too keen on that. And I'm still not totally on board with this offense. I know it hangs a ton of points, but the makeup of kind of sketch running backs and basically just Terry McLaurin, but then you have Zach Ertz. You also have the young rookie from Penn State, tight end. It's kind of weird. It's really weird. It's why I feel a certain big name wide receiver is joining Washington next season. They need to get big name talent in Washington. But yeah, Chicago's got a really darn good defense, man. And I know your take. I know how you stand on it, but I've watched these games, man. Like they definitely rush the quarterback for sure. They know how to play against a mobile quarterback. So I think they'll show up and they'll play all right against Washington.
I hope someone kicks someone in the knee and Chicago loses. Anywho,
okay, there you go.
Dallas 4.5-point dogs at San Francisco.
Yeah, I think this is a total runaway, man. Like I could see this being a 20 to 30 point blowout.
San Francisco?
Yes, I think San Francisco could run away with this game like no other, and Jerry Jones like just absolutely folds like a paper tiger.
Nope. You know what I'm going? This is called the Dallas get right game. San Francisco doesn't know what's going to hit them in the mouth. They lost Brandon Ayuk. Who are they going to give the ball to now?
Brandon Ayuk or Kyle Juszczyk.
That's where we're going. Kyle Juszczyk is getting all the fantasy points. All right.
He's going to get all the fantasy points, man. I'm telling you.
So this is my lock of the week. Are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready, man. We need a clip. We don't have one yet, but we're in the works.
We're gonna make it. Just locking it in.
Lock it in.
The Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 9.5 at Las Vegas, and I'm going Las Vegas.
Yes, and I like that. I don't know if I'd go heavy on the victory, but this is a team that knows you inside and out, and that defense is solid. As long as Minshew, to me, in my eyes, isn't the quarterback, there is a definite shot of Vegas winning this game, as weird as that sounds. Because basically, if you can just go toe for toe with Mahomes throwing like one touchdown, you're in it. You can really be in it on those games. But absolutely on the spread, totally take Vegas on the spread against Kansas City.
Mahomes is up there in the top 5 in interceptions right now, and I'm going Vegas with the dub.
Vegas with the dub.
With the dub.
Wait, with the dub, man. Like I got
No,
to see this. Like it would be quite the upset. I mean, we did it against Baltimore. For us to do it against the Chiefs would be pretty interesting. It would signal something to me that could happen trade wise because I know we're
yep,
coming up
you
on the
heard me.
trade deadline, and that would it would massively impact a trade in my eyes if this win against Kansas City occurred because we would in a way lose leverage. So fun, really weird stuff would happen if a win against the Chiefs occurs. So there you go, man. I think that's a pretty darn good pick right there. That's your lock of the week. Yeah, new week for us. I think that's our good show that we got. We're pretty much hitting that
No,
hour mark.
we forgot Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Pittsburgh is favored by 6 at home against the Giants.
they'll. Mm, I'll take the Giants and the spread. I
Okay,
don't know if I'd pick
I'm
them to
going
win, but
Pittsburgh because I just believe that Russell Wilson is he's gonna let's ride.
yeah, that's kind of weird. It is interesting. Like for that's a really weird game, man. I would say if I had to make a pick, I would pick the Giants and the spread. But if I had to bet this game straight up, I would completely avoid it. That is a weird game in my eyes.
Let's ride.
Let's
Do
ride,
that.
man. Let's
Do you
ride.
remember the Vince
Yeah.
Carter? Vince Carter would do that. Let's
Oh,
ride.
he would. Okay. Interesting.
After
Uh,
dunks, yeah.
oh, true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, Russell Wilson. He man, like I just wish he would go like 100% all in, all gas, no brakes on that slogan because it is 100% cheesy and we all love it.
No,
So
I agree.
there we go. But yeah, that's it. New week on a Friday. You'll see us on Fridays here on out, 7:00. Thanks for watching. So yeah, I'm Steve Metrics, and that's your boy.
DJ Triggs.
And together we are No Debate Sports, and that's No Debate.